Hello everybody, I hope you're well. Welcome to week 7 of remote learning. For this week's performing arts task, we are going to keep going with our work on the production. Now remember that our production is the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and we are hopefully going to be holding this production at the end of October, so early in term 4. Because we've got a few more weeks of lockdown to go, it's really important that we keep practicing while we're at home, so that when we do get back to school we can hit the ground running and be ready to go in time for October, because otherwise we won't have very much time left to practice. In last week's performing arts task, you may remember that we were introduced to the sleeping music scene. This is where Goldilocks goes upstairs to try out the different beds, and she finally falls asleep as she finds one that is just right. We had to practice our falling asleep acting. Now, falling asleep is not the only thing we're going to do in that scene. There are also some dance moves that go with it. As we learn those dance moves today, I would like you to practice them maybe 3 different times throughout the week. So today, when you first see your activity, then maybe 2 days from now, and then maybe on the weekend after that as well. Make sure that you don't just do it once and then say, yep, it's done. It's something that needs to be practiced and revisited so that we can make sure we remember it. Now, to remind ourselves what that sleeping music sounds like, let's take a quick listen. Okay, let's take a look at our sleeping music dance. Have you ever heard the expression counting sheep? This is something that sometimes people do when they're trying to fall asleep. They count sheep. Bah, 1, bah, 2, bah, 3. As Goldilocks is trying to fall asleep in the bed that she's chosen, we are going to be the sheep. Now, can you show me your sheep hooves like this in front of you? And we're going to try doing a little bit of a jump over the top of Goldilocks. See how you go jumping around. Now, to practice this dance, you're going to need a little bit of space clear. As you can see, I've cleared out everything in this area here, so I have a bit of room to move around. Once you've practiced your sheep jump, see if you can take a bit of a run up. Go to one end of your space and practice jumping all the way over to the other. Run up and jump until you get to the other end of your space. Now, when we perform this in the production, I want you to imagine that Goldilocks is asleep in her bed, around about here, the middle of your space. We're going to run out and jump over in front of her, then we're going to run around the back of Goldilocks' bed and make a circle around her. So when you're practicing at home, you might even want to set up something like your imaginary bed. But I'm just going to imagine that space there for now is Goldilocks' bed. So I'm going to run around in front of her, do my leap, run around behind the bed and find my spot in the circle. The next step is almost like being blown in the breeze. Can you get your hands and wave them back and forth like this, side to side? And as you do that, can you slowly bend down, almost like you're wiping a window clean, all the way down to the floor, as low as you can go. Once you have done that step, we then shoot back up with our arms up nice and high. And we do a similar motion, but spinning around in a circle this time. Keep your hands out, almost as if you are inside a glass tube and you're trying to wipe your hands along the side of that glass. Down and around we go, spinning in a circle, down, 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 until you're all the way down on the floor. And at that point, finally, we curl up and go to sleep. Now, in the music that you will hear, there are certain cues telling us when to perform each of these actions. When the music first starts, we will be off to the side of the stage. We don't actually start dancing right away. When you hear the bass, that is the low sounding instruments, that is when we move out and do our sheep jump. We get into position in our circle, and then we wait there until we hear the instrument called the bassoon. That's again, it's fairly low sounding woodwind instrument. That is when we do our side to side swishes all the way down. And then when we hear the oboe, the high pitched instrument, that's when we jump back up and do our circle. And finally, as the music gets louder with the trumpets, that is when we curl up and fall asleep. Let's try putting it together. Okay, are you ready to begin? Our music is ready to go. We're off to the side of the stage. Here it is. Remember that we're listening for the bass, the low end, to come in. There's the bass. We do our sheep jump. We run around the bed, round to the back of the circle. We wait for the bassoon. There's the bassoon. We do side to side swipes all the way down. There's the oboe reaching up and into a circle. And there's the trumpet slowly coming. I'm going to sleep. Now, remember that you need to practice this at least 3 or 4 different times throughout the week. As well as recording your video for SEESAW, you need to make sure you revisit this dance and practice it again in a few days' time and again a few days after that. Let's take a look at what you need to do for your SEESAW task. For this week's SEESAW activity, you need to record yourself performing those 4 steps of the dance. The run and the sheep jump, the side to side swishes, the circle, and the falling asleep. See if you can perform this with the music in the background to show that you understand how each move lines up with each part of the music. When you have recorded your video, upload it to SEESAW.